on a client's chart in a test patient. And what you'll notice is that once we open the gear, you're in risk factors configuration. You can see that passive smoke exposure is positive on this client, and there's a red SHS that shows up. And that will show up for anyone who has had passive smoke exposure recorded. In the tobacco template, the passive smoke exposure will show up red if it hasn't been obtained, and in the box you'll see the word unknown. The medical assistants use tobacco usage. They can get there through the risk factor configuration or through histories. And it's very important. This patient reports that they've used tobacco, but there's no recording of their use. So we're going to record that they use it daily, and they use it 5 times a day, 5 cigarettes a day. This is something that would generally be done by the medical assistant. Somehow that didn't record, so we're just, that's because I was canceling it. Years used, we'll just say 1, and again, this is generally done by the medical assistant, and they haven't stopped, so there should be no 0 there. And it's very important that the medical assistant check that they reviewed on the date, and so today's February 16th, we reviewed it on February 16th. As they scroll down, they'll go to passive smoke exposure, and this person has passive smoke exposure. The answer is yes. That's why it showed up as red SHS in risk factor configuration. Then when we save and close it, because they reported that they had tobacco use, you'll now see that there's a red tobacco alert, which shows up not just on the intake, but it will show up on the sleep template. That's the sort of basics of the medical assistant obtaining information on the patient. And just remember that they have the ability to highlight secondhand smoke, and also as long as they update the record of tobacco use on the day of the visit, a red tobacco alert will show up if the patient is a current smoker. So now I want you to know how to get the template into your preferred templates. You go to Tools, go down to the bottom to Preferences, then you go over the top bar to Templates, and select, in this case, LMC Tobacco Treatment and Referral. In other clinics, it will be labeled, for example, TCHC for Tri-City Health Center. And you select the tobacco template, then you click on the right arrow to move it over. It's already in the preferred templates here, so it's not moving over, but otherwise it would. Click OK, and now you have it in your templates. So to work from the tobacco template with a patient, you open your preferred templates and select LMC or TCHC tobacco treatment and referral. Click OK. Then you have the tobacco template showing up, as you can see here. You can, in the Advice to Quit section, get extra information by clicking on the I in the blue circle. And that just gives you some tips, like if the patient is ready to quit, help them to set a quit date, assist with medication, etc. It also gives tips if they're not ready to quit. You can, if you spend 3 to 10 minutes in counseling, click that you've spent 3 to 10 minutes. That will show up as tobacco counseling given. Then when you get to the Assist section, the second section of the template, again, you have prescribing tips with the I in the blue circle. If the patient declined medication, you can check that off. When the person is a heavy smoker, you can click, if you're going to prescribe combination therapy on heavy combo, and you will see options for heavy combination. And of course, combination is the preferred evidence-based treatment if they're willing to do it. Now, you can't read what's in here, but if we enlarge it, you can see that, for example, with Nicoderm CQ 21 milligram transdermal patch, it has the quantity of 28 and start and end date, and in the comment section there are important recommendations. You can open these, get tips, and then put them into a prescription, or you can make it part of your preferred prescriptions. But what's important here is that a lot of the comments on these guides say things like may substitute formulary equivalent, which protects you from being called by the pharmacy and told, oh, sorry, Alamido Ice does not cover Nicoderm patch, because in fact it covers the generic only. And in this case it says, if you smoke a cigarette with the patch, leave the patch on. You probably need more nicotine, like gum or lozenge, with the patch. So the prescriptions have some useful comments in them, so that's available to you. In addition to that, there are a list of different handouts that you can provide with the patient. So for example, if your patient's using nicotine patch, you can ask the medical assistant to provide them with a handout on nicotine patch. And just this will come up in either English or Spanish, depending on the language of the patient. There are also handouts on stopping smoking after your visit, secondhand smoke after your visit, tips from the experts, which includes that it's a good idea to use short-acting nicotine if you're using the patch and you still are smoking, e-cigarette facts. In addition to that, there's a place where you can click on tobacco treatment references and resources, and the MA can scroll down and get handouts on additional items, for example, asthma and smoking, or flu shot flyer, which talks about the importance of flu shots as well as pneumococcal shots for people over the age of 18 who smoke cigarettes. So there are additional handouts available there, but in this case you have to search for them, and they will not come out automatically in Spanish, although there are some Spanish versions that can be searched for. So the most important section probably is the arrange follow-up and referrals, which gives you the option of referring to the California Smokers Helpline. The California Smokers Helpline is a very, very valuable resource because it's free. We are now training medical assistants to ask patients who smoke on a regular basis, can I refer you to a free helpline of experts who will call you and help you to quit? So if the patient says yes, they can then be referred by the MA even before they're seen by the provider. In this type of instance, the MA has the option of indicating that referral treatment was declined, right here where the arrow is if they refused, or checking California Smokers Helpline if they agree. Although this additional web referral option shows up, it's easiest to do the electronic medical record option and click on patient, and then be sure that the consent is obtained by having the MA or the physician provider ask, do you give your permission for Lifelong Medical Care or Tri-City Medical Care to share your contact information with the California Smokers Helpline and to contact you to help you to quit smoking or other tobacco and notify your provider. So this must be checked. If it's not, what will happen when you get down to make the referral is you'll see a warning that you need consent to proceed with the referral. So that needs to be checked. Then there may be several different phone options you'll check before the appropriate phone option. and the language is automatically that of the patient. So you don't need to fill that in. Then you click on your referral order and you get to the referral form. So the first thing you do here is to click on the orange button. Then you have to type in California S, and once you search with California S in, you will almost immediately get the California Smokers Helpline. You click on that. Then the next item that should come up is under description. So now you'll see that under description we have a previously identified referral, as well as nicotine dependence, unspecified and uncomplicated, and tobacco abuse with their code. So I'm going to click on tobacco abuse for this patient and click OK. And now it shows up in the description. Now we go to add. And again, we have to make sure that we get the right information here. And what's interesting is that there seems to be a problem right now because it doesn't say tobacco abuse. And I'm going to pause for a second to just get a screenshot of this. And then we're going to click on share. And right now it says that somebody's being referred to the Smokers Helpline for low back pain, which is not what it should say. We're going to close it. And that is how you go about making your referrals. There is obviously something that needs to be fixed right now in the referral mechanism. So I'm going to review just a couple more things and then we'll be done. The first thing is that you can do a household prescription for a person that the patient lives with. And the way you do this is to click on household treatment, and then let's say it's Joe Test, and the date of birth we would add in. They live with the patient, so you can just click on copy patient info and it'll show up there. And then you click on print on secure paper. You click on household treatment. And when you do that, a prescription template will show up. It's coming. And you can indicate 21 milligram patch for 4 weeks, 14 milligram patch for 4 weeks, 7 milligram patch for 4 weeks without any refills. And then I usually prefer the 4 milligram gum. 4 milligram gum up to 6 times a day for 4 weeks, up to 4 times a day for 4 weeks, and up to 2 times a day for 4 weeks to taper off. And then select, generally you don't want to select plain but mint or fruit because it's more palatable to the patient. After that, you will be able to submit, to print the prescription on a secure printer. So then you can hand it to the household smoker, the person in the household who smokes. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you can do a household referral to the California Helpline. So you click on household. Once again, you click on consent. But before you do that, you'll select who is it. Is it the aunt? Is it the grandmother? Is it the mother? We're going to say it's the mother in this case. And you make sure that you get consent. Check the proper phone. Whoops. Actually, I made a mistake there. And we can see that it now has Joe Test and the birth date from the fact that we did the prescription. You'd have to fill that in if we haven't done that. You, in copying the patient info, will get the same phone number from the patient or you can type in the proper number. And then you go through the same process again, which is the e-referral order. Click on the orange button, put in California S, search, and I'm doing this to remind you how it goes, and then select the diagnosis. In this case, we now have a new diagnosis, other specified personal hazard, which I'm hoping will show up in the bottom, but it's not. So that needs to be fixed. But the steps that you would take would be to highlight the proper information, which is now present, except it still says low back pain, where it should say household, should say smoker. Click share and click close. One last thing I want to demonstrate for you is that you have the ability to add additional notes as a provider. So you can say objective, 5 cigarettes per day. I abbreviate that as CPD. Assessment of tobacco dependence, and plan referral to helpline. Then you can save this to grid. All you need to do is click on Save to Grid. So when you or the next person seeing this patient see the patient, you will be able to see on November 15th, they cut down by 1 cigarette a week for 2 weeks and were then going to return on November 28th. They were referred to the helpline and now they're being referred again. So it will give you a historical perspective that can be very helpful. So this is a way that you can begin to provide more support to all of the patients that you're seeing who smoke. And we know that the rates are very high, between 30 and 50% in the majority of clinics. And you have a super user at your site who can help you, and or you can contact me for additional help. C. McDonald at lifelongmedical.org.